I'm Rohit Chikkaraddy. So I'm an assistant professor in physics at University of Birmingham, UK. I graduated from IISER Pune in 2014 through BSMS program, which is almost a decade back now. My current research focuses on understanding how light interacts with condensed systems, especially such as single molecules, 2D materials, and proteins, and understand their dynamics at atomic scale and especially in their ambient conditions, which I think is a very important problems to address, especially in the pressing issues of monitoring the environment and also in the light of climate change. So the key challenge I think here is to understand how does small molecules move and how they interact with the surrounding environment, be it be like the water molecules around ribosomes or the ions that move around it, or be the radicals in the atmosphere, how it governs the various key parameters in controlling the climate. So we are trying to address this by using light. So the question that we want to, or at least want to get good grasp on, is how does light interact with small molecules? The issue is small molecules have small cross section of interaction with light. So how we can enhance their interaction? So for which we construct different kind of optical cavities that trap light. So these are made up of metallic structures. And one thing that we found is by using an evanescent waves which sits on the metal surface, one can trap light way beyond the diffraction limit all the way to the atomic scale. So it really traps light like bouncing back and forth, which is very similar to Hall of Mirrors. So this setup enhances light matter interactions and allows unique way of unlocking how materials interact with light. So my current focus is trying to look at the fingerprint of these very small molecules, and these fingerprints lies in far into the mid-infrared range, which our eyes cannot see, nor the silicon detectors or the cameras that sits in our phone. So how can we take this very low energy mid-infrared light and convert it into the visible so that we can easily see it? This is also one of the challenges that we saw during COVID time. If you have tried to see your face in the thermal camera, it is very noisy, which is like very slow compared to the silicon phone cameras that sits, which are very high resolution and very fast. So how can we do this conversion of low energy infrared light to invisible light? So for which we try to harvest this both electronic and vibration states within the quantum system so that we can pump the vibrational states in the mid-infrared and up convert into the luminescence that comes out through these materials. And this luminescence is in the visible and we can easily see those through the conventional detectors. So I think for the first time, we have been able to do this in a very efficient way and then look at the vibrational fingerprint of individual molecules. So this is good, but it is still in a very early stage, and there is still not a lot needs to be done in order to implement this kind of methodology to monitor toxic gases or radicals in the environment. Hopefully, this is, we think, at least this is a right direction to progress and also a right pathway to make something useful in terms of predicting the very important environmental tipping points. Yeah, that's true. That's a very good, because as I said, I came from Navodaya schools, and Navodayas are pretty much like a boarding schools, and you don't have any direct contact to the external world. You don't know which new movie is coming. You never get a chance to watch movie on the first day, first show. You'll never know the sports that is happening around. Politics is far beyond at that age. So it's a kind of eye-opening, like when you come directly from that kind of closed environment to a completely fully exposed area into Pune, which is into a very posh area of Pune, which is just amazing. Uh, Definitely, I really felt very shy and very isolated, probably in the early days of my ISER. It's yeah, I still remember it, the only time I really started mixing with people and my cohort was the time when Nilesh Donakar took us to the kind of a day science expedition to lunar crater. It kind of gives a new environment to talk to your friends and or make new friends uh, in such places rather than just being in a classroom. But also we spent a lot of time in a IISER buses. So we used to go from our IISER hostel to the current main campus to Sai Trinity for classes, and then from Sai Trinity to NCL Innovation Park for mess. So we used to spend a lot of time in bus. That also used to be in different place and different environment to make friends. So everyone really made the transition for me, I would say. It's not just an effort from my side, it was an environment that is created from IISER and the cohort of my batch. And the 2014 batch, the pass out of 2014, we were the first batch having cohort size of more than 100 students, which was also meant that we had more opportunities to talk to a lot of our um, cohort compared to the previous batches, which was less than 50. Yeah, that's how it's a good transition coming all the way from Navodaya to IISER into Pune. Uh, but I have no regrets. I still think that one of my best decisions of my life was to give up my engineering exam and come and join IISER Pune. It was great. So my journey to IISER, or especially towards science and research, I feel like it was profoundly influenced by what my teacher said during my school time in Navodaya. Is basically he said that the improvement of human life is not solely done by doing hard work in the farmlands, but also through dedicated efforts in laboratories, which really stuck with me. I don't know, for some reason, mainly because I used to see my grandparents and my uncles used to go to the farmlands every day. So that really even stuck with me today. So I felt like we could really improve the quality of life by doing good innovation in laboratories. This really kind of drew me to do small experiments during my school days, which led to a KVPI fellowship. And at that time, if you have a KVPI fellowship, you have a direct entrance to IISER, which was really a great thing for me. And that's how I actually came to IISER. But there's a really interesting story in between because since I was in Navodaya, we didn't have much access to phones or social media outside or anything. Um, so the only way I could interact or know anything that is happening is through my teachers. And at that time, even though if you have an KVPA fellowship, you still need to do IISER counseling, which decides which IISER do you get. And for that, you need to be physically coming to one of the IISERs um, to secure the place. And the IISER counseling date exactly overlapped with the engineering exams in Karnataka. So it's like an CET exams in Karnataka. So I was in this dilemma whether should I go for IISER counseling and secure a place in IISER, or should I give my engineering exam and go for engineering, mm, which is a very tough challenge, or at least a very tough decision to do at the time with the knowledge that was available. And the biggest glitch and the problem that came here was that my name was not recognized as an eligible candidate to come to IISER counseling because there was some glitch in the system that didn't recognize KVPY students coming through project stream. So my teacher used to call the coordinator in IISER Pune. At that time, it was Professor A. Natu. And he was very, very supportive. Like, don't worry about that. That will be taken care. We will make sure that you get position in one of the IISERs for sure. You just need to come and show up. So I gave up my engineering exam and came to IISER counseling and rest is history, which was a good one. So that's how I came to IISER. But I greatly benefited from the whole support system in IISER. To be fair, it's at various fronts. It's not just only from research, but also in terms of the friends and everything. Just like, for example, even the course structure in IISER, uh, at that time it was fully flexible, so you can take whatever the course you want. I was interested in chemistry when I came in, and I did take a lot of core courses from chemistry during third, fourth year. At the same time, I started to realize that I loved learning chemistry a lot in classrooms, but I didn't really enjoy that much in terms of experiments. So I was really looking for some other way of keeping my hands dirty rather than just being dirty by chemicals. So I was in a bit of dilemma. Um, so at that time, I also did an internship with HBCSC, Homi Bhabha Center for Science and Education. There, two of my mentors, both Professor Savita Ladage and P.A. Hassan from BARC, they said you could try out something in surface chemistry and colloids. So we worked on a project on understanding how does reverse micelles form in an oil where there is no conductivity, and then these reverse micelles having the counter ions that are trapped inside the water medium can hop from one micelle to other micelle and then ends up having a conductivity through percolation. So it was kind of good for me because it has both of has an interface of chemistry coming from the micelle side as well as bit of physics from the viewpoint of surface physics. So that was kind of my migration towards from chemistry to building towards bit on the physics side. And and during that time, IISER also was growing exponentially in terms of the faculties. There are a lot of new young faculties coming in with lots of new ideas, lots of different visions. So I really got caught up with the vision that Professor G.V. Pawan Kumar had in trying to bridge this field of physics and chemistry through light. So yeah, that's how I worked with Pawan for a very long period of time, and I greatly learned lots of different aspects related from microscopy, materials, overall in general, like physics of nanoscale systems, I would say, which was great. There are also some few things which probably that made my transition from IISER to coming to Birmingham. Um, So, as I said, I spent significant amount of time in lab, and especially with Pawan, we did a lot of experiments, and we could exchange one of the 3 credit course with the lab course, which was also useful. Um, and then I started applying for PhD programs. Um, I was almost set to go to US at that time, and then um, just before that, I got this scholarship from Cambridge, which was another turning point. So that basically made me to go come to Cambridge rather than go to US, which which turned out to be really good opportunity for me because the team in Cambridge was really at the forefront of the field in nanophotonics, and it was really big to uh, collaborate with large number of people. Um, and explores various different aspects of science. And one of the key knowledge or the pedagogy that I learned from both from IISER doing this course from physics and chemistry and spending my time in Cambridge with talking to people in chemistry and biology was that you need to have this pedagogy of research where you have to consider the full program, like full problem as a whole, rather than doing them in a smaller chunks of pieces. So that gave me a bigger vision of trying to address these problems of climate change and environmental monitoring. But there is no way that you can do it alone. It means that you need to talk to people who are completely beyond your background. And if you cannot speak their language, then you have a problem. So IISER really gave me that opportunity of learning the language of chemistry, learning the language of physics, so you could sit in exactly in the right boundaries, so that you can build a team which can understand these big problems in a coherent way. So I started making these collaborations who have a similar vision and agendas, so that we can address these problems in a collective way. And there is no way that we can really uh, be an expert on everything, but we need to be knowing the breadth of the problem so that we can address everything. But having the depth also is extremely important. If we don't have the depth, then we will not be, there's no point in having the breadth. So that way, I think IISER definitely gave me that opportunity to go deep into the one field as well as keep that breadth of the knowledge across the disciplines. So that's yeah, it's an interesting time for us, especially because problems are getting bigger and bigger, and time to address these problems is shorter. So the only way to do this is in a collective manner. At least that's what I believe on. And that's also my kind of vision for science communication, where it goes to is how we can keep public as well as the general people to be motivated about addressing very important pressing problems. And when it comes to science communication, or at least encouraging people to think scientifically and be inquisitive about what they come across, most of the science communications are generally done to a very small section of the population who are already motivated about science, who already know and believe that that's the right way to do it. But there is still large fraction of the population which is kept away from it, and how to tap onto those kind of population, how to address or how to bring uh, that scientific inquiry to such a population is a hard challenge. And this is something where I think there's a huge potential to address. And what I do mostly is trying to get to address to such community. And this is something that I got a bit of a motivation from my father, because he taught in a girls' college for 30 years in one district. So it means every person in that district knows him, and they all come from a community of uh, uh, who community which can be uh, empowered in much more larger scale than uh, than the people who already know science, or have a bit more accessibility to the science in this era. So I have been talking to different school students at the local. It's not like to motivate them to go into science. It's just to motivate them to be open-minded to learn new things. Because in this world, I don't think any school, any teacher will not be able to teach everything that is needed for your life. You need to get to that stage of learning by yourself, for which you need to have that eagerness to learn as well as the motivation for why you need to learn, and learning the things at the right time when it is needed, because information is available, it's just accessing at the right time and the right place. Mm, yeah, so that's a kind of advice that I generally try to go and do as a part of my outreach, is to motivate people to be more inquisitive and more openness to learn things. It is not like you need to do science to do it. You can do arts, you can do engineering, you can do history. It doesn't really matter. You need to be open to learn new things and develop your skills as and when needed. And that's what really makes the hard for challenging problem of the current world. Why do anyone needs to go to university if everything is already available to you at the tip of your fingers? Is a pressing issue. And the same thing goes here at the university. So here in University of Birmingham, I teach year two optics, which is a cohort to 150 students. Um, it's really big cohort, and it doesn't really many times it really doesn't make sense to me that why should I go there and then talk to 150 students? And obviously, there is no way that each 150 students will be talking to me individually. Uh, then what is my role of there and going this lecture? And it turns out you still need to have this kind of in-person classes, not only to learn the subject, but also it is to make them aware of the society. It's like if they don't get an opportunity to talk or ask a question in a group of 150 people who are their own cohort, and not and not to be shy about it, like if you get shy and don't ask a question in the class where you're sitting, then it becomes very hard for that person to go outside and ask and very critical problem of the society. So it's trying to make them uh, eh, provide them an environment where they feel comfortable to ask very critical questions, as well as giving that aspect that there's no stupid question. Every question is a good question. It just opens new way to learn and new way to to improve the quality of your life just by learning things along the path. So the science communication has in various different aspects. It's very hard to cover everything in one go for anyone. But at the moment, I think in this world, information is not really limited. It is just the um, accessibility at the right time, at the right place. So that makes it very hard. And trying to make people not isolated rather than making them in a work in a collaborative way or work with the society, which is bit of a shame because social media really tried to bring everyone together, but at the same time, that made some kind of bubbles of each social media. So you end up listening to the same information that you already believe in. So then there is no point in knowing that one. So it is trying to go beyond that bubbles, and that's where the universities and having these big social activities really make sense, and that is where most of the social outreach is needed to address on. So that's where my most aspect of science communication comes basically to do with the people and the community where I come from. And then we try to give this basically the same agenda of it's not about teaching them what's the importance of new science that is coming out. It's the importance of why they need to ask questions, why they need to think about anything they do. There is never a right or wrong decision. It's all about what's the best for them at that time. And if they are not asking the question before they make the decision, then it seems then we will be in a slightly offside with what is actually needed to be addressed. And all the science programs where at least where I try to go and tell students one important message is they just need to be a bit more uh, aware that school or the education system is not going to train them for their life in next 30 years. That's not going to happen for sure. It's just that what the education system can train them is to um, is basically make them aware of this problem and train them that have a capability to learn by themselves. So they just need to learn a skill of how to learn by yourself and how to make use of the technology and the tools that are available to learn the new skills that is needed. Doesn't matter whether you are in engineering or doesn't matter whether you are in politics, you still need to do this aspect of learning all the time. Um, which is not definitely not the way how the education system used to work probably 50 years back, but now it's in the right stage where you need to be the state where people need to start learning. We in IISER had this concept or the vision of getting students to learn by themselves rather than through the courses, but now we need to start thinking about the same vision applied to much lower level, even at the schools level, uh, because the pace at which things are changing is extremely fast. This Founders Award recognizes the work of the early career researcher at the university, and which the work and work should have some kind of potential to be transformative. Indeed, this work basically recognizes, or it's an award to my team and my mentors, and their support for almost a decade now, or even more. Um, so it's basically the efforts that we have been now trying to do in trying to bridge chemistry, physics, and environmental science in one platform where we could try to address the issues of monitoring the environment as well as developing different technology from the viewpoint of developing new methodologies to monitor these pressing issues. So that's where I think this award really recognizes the effort that is basically done by students as well as the training that I got through my mentors and the team. Yeah, I'm very grateful for them, as well as for the university for the award. There are lots of memories which there's no way that I can forget all of those, all the way from our mess conversations to hostel life. But mostly in terms of activities, I was involved with Mimamsa for quite good amount of time in terms of organizing and setting up the questions for Mimamsa, which was a very great initiative. And I think again goes back to this aspect of critical thinking. We used to play a lot of badminton in the wind just outside the H Cross building, which was also a great memory of my time. There are also lots of our time just sitting outside and drinking coffee. So, as I said, uh, there is no way that you can be 100% efficient in your life. So these are all very useful waste of time, definitely very useful waste. But at that time, we would think that it's a waste, but I don't think we can ever be 100% efficient. It's also in the aspect of science. If I try to be 100% efficient in terms of how I'm making use of my time, it's not going to be sustainable in the long run. And this is also something nature does. If you look at how the honeybees look for the nectar, so as soon as a bee finds a nectar, it comes back to the nest and then makes a very interesting uh, wiggling dance, telling the other bees that where they should go to get the nectar. If all the bees go there, of course, the nectar getting back to the host would be very, very large and they will be very efficient. But that's not they do. There will always be 10% of the bee which don't listen to that dance. They go randomly somewhere else. And it turns out that's the most efficient way because these random bees that go doesn't bring back any nectar, but they will once in a while they will find a new place to find where the nectar is. So that makes them more sustainable in the long run. And that's what IISER provides you. It's not about the efficiency, it's about being sustainable and being more productive over a long, long period of time. And yeah, these are all, there are so many memories and they are all very small at that time, but I still remember the support that I had, not just only from my cohort, but also from various other people. Like even I had a direct personal phone number of Director Professor K. Ganesh, as well as Professor B.S. Rao, because my American visa was rejected. I was going for an internship in Notre Dame University. So they were very supportive, directly writing a letter to the embassies as well as talking to me on phone through their personal numbers. And we used to meet them just while going to the mess on the road. So the accessibility was quite very, very useful and very helpful. And that also shows the kind of commitment that IISER had in terms of the success and prosperity of their students. And that clearly reflects back now after at least my period of a decade later, like where the students are, where how the faculties has grown, how the IISER has grown in overall. It's really great community. Yeah, as I said, it's an extremely great community and it comes extremely in a right time period. As I said, information is not, we have plenty of information. The only point is about putting them together in the right place and the right time so that it becomes more widely used. And at this period of time, I think the IISER graduates have went into very diverse fields across academia, entrepreneurship, industry. I don't know. You can think of any field. I am sure there is an IISER candidate there. So this whole alumni portal makes a really good effort in maintaining that connection and highlighting, fostering a sense of bigger community and the shared growth. Not just about the growth about the people who came outside, but also the growth about IISER institution as such. So yeah, very good effort. I'm very happy about it.